Let's
But
talk
we
about
said we have
public
electricity.
transport, right? Many questions keep emerging on public transport and what people need to do on public transport. So let's cross over, and joining us on the line now is Paul Owor. He's an environment, health and safety engineer with Isuzu East Africa. Good morning, Paul.
Morning. Hi, how are you?
Good morning,
Salama
Paul.
kabisa.
Yeah, I'm good too.
In this season, you know, we have a doctor in the studio. We call her daktari. Now we have an engineer on the line. Tuite mhandisi.
Sure, any will do.
Thank you, Paul. So, issues of public transport. Isuzu, of course, knows a lot about public transport. You supply a lot of the matatus that we see on our roads. Now, what is Isuzu doing to, say, sensitize the public transport operators in the country on this coronavirus, COVID-19?
Now, of course, we are a major industry when it comes to public transport, and what we are currently doing is to, first of all, address the issue at customer level. Also, just provide guidelines given by, of course, World Health Organization and the national health authorities, continuously making awareness to, the transport, the PSV circles that we work with.
Yep.
And of course, to also looking forward to, even with the progress of the epidemiology of the disease, looking at how we can start giving incentives so that we'll be able to, provide sanitation facilities for customers, people who are using their vehicles, and even have the technical know-how to be able to guide the people who are using their transport services.
Now, even the government has said when it comes to public transport, this is one area where the Minister for Transport has said it's an avenue that could be used to transmit this virus quite widely. And that's why the government has come up with measures to reduce the number of passengers per vehicle. But still, people are touching spaces. When you're boarding a matatu, your buses are high. I've got to hold onto a rail to board onto this matatu. I'll hold onto a rail to move and sit. What is it that we ought to know, and what should we do?
Most of this is related to, I would say, more of behavioral issues at personal level. The state authorities had issued key guidelines for service providers on what are the minimum requirements they need to ensure before, putting their vehicles on the roads. And I'll probably address this from the PSV, the owner perspective, and then we go to what the customer or the traveler should do.
Right.
And basically, the guidelines that were given by the state health authorities was to, if it's a 14-seater matatu, then it's supposed to carry a maximum of 8 passengers. And if it's 25-seater vehicle, PSV should at least carry 15 people. And then 30-seaters and above, up to 50-seaters, should have at least a 6% maximum of seating capacity. And the reason this was given is that we need to observe, social distancing. And we continue to encourage PSV service providers to ensure this is adhered to at all times of the day. And at customer level, first of all, you need to really get to understand whether it's really worthwhile for you to leave your family or travel. We should stay at home, first of all.
Yeah.
Unless the travel is very essential to your personal business or to your employer. It's also good to identify your preferred PSV. This is not the time that you'll jump into any other bus or any other matatu that you're not probably you've not known before, or probably is not flying that route. Also, in terms of individual behavior, we basically know the virus is transmitted through, contact with surfaces. We encourage that you use the sanitation facilities that is offered, provided by the public service providers. If that is not there, then at individual level, for us, like what we've done to our employees here is to provide, hand sanitizers. So it's going beyond, knowing that sure, if I do this, then I'm going to protect myself, I'm going to protect my family and people around me. So even as travelers, we should have the initiative. The government is issuing sanitizers for free. We should be able to access them, or even going beyond to buy, so that whenever you interact with people, hold handrails, and we try to ensure that we just encourage people not to touch this kind of surfaces. You never know who's been there before. And if that happens, then you need to self-sanitize. And that's the essence why, as a traveler, you're supposed to at least have a pocket. You can have a sanitizer, in your bag or in your pocket or whatever.
Yeah. So a lot of this is self-initiative, basically. It's what you can do at your individual level. As a corporate organization, and many of these operators are your stakeholders, what measures have you taken, for example, to work with them to ensure that it's easier for them to do these things? For instance, we know that the government is distributing a lot of free hand sanitizer across the country. Is Isuzu East Africa playing a role in this, in ensuring that their members are getting these free hand sanitizers?
Yeah, as I did mention it before, is that we continue to highlight, sensitize all of our stakeholders, not just operators, but also even customers, on what they need to do currently within their facility and even within the vehicles. So a communication giving specifications of formulations that will probably be used to fumigate or disinfect the vehicles.
Yep. And
even formulations that could easily help to, quick solutions for sanitizing the customers. This is something that we issue at a customer level when they come, of course, to see us. These vehicles, we also service them.
So this is information.
Yes, first of all, information.
Right.
And giving them the right information on what they need to do to contain the pandemic within the operations. And of course, also looking forward to starting to do an awareness campaign with them.
Yep.
Organizing for forums with our circles that we work with,
yep.
PSV circles that we work with. And then also providing incentives for those who have difficulties in accessing some of these, sanitation facilities or disinfectants or whatever. As the disease progresses, even looking at the possibility of giving them such incentives so that they're able to easily access. This is something that we are also continuously reviewing.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to giving that kind of support.
So this is something that's in the pipeline, that you're working towards helping to facilitate them so that they can do this, get this much better. Because their job really is to transport people. But as a corporate organization, and you have the muscle, you can pull in resources from other quarters and help them to get them. Especially when you talk about sanitation. They've been told that at the end of every trip, you should go and disinfect your vehicle. This is not an easy thing to do, as you'd imagine, engineer.
Yeah, we know that we have challenges in operating businesses, and the understanding is what has actually triggered us to start looking into possibilities of now, apart from just providing the technical information and awareness, looking at how we can, facilitate them access formulations that can easily and readily be used to, disinfect and also to make their business easier. So this is something that I would say is in the pipeline.
So is it something that people who are in your line of work are also following up, or is it that your organization has taken a lead and there's no one else who's doing what you're doing?
Currently, I would say, taking a lead in this, but then also, the kind of operations that we have here is that customers bring in their vehicles. There's that kind of interface with the customer and our operations, and basically also with our staff. So a lot of guidelines provided for now. If you are able to access our service or operation center, then as a customer you'll appreciate the kind of facilities and in terms of just ensuring hygiene, safety, and security of the environment to eliminate the risk of exposure either to our customer, to our stakeholders. We have contractors working here, and to our staff. So I would say, even in the corporate function view, where we include all other employees, you access our premises, and you have to be taken through a process that all of us now appreciate. I've seen some other.
So at the end of, let us say the COVID-19 comes to an end, is this a process that you continue to, you would like to continue rolling out for the safety of your clients and the people who work within the business enterprise that you have?
Sure. Safety has always been, and it is our priority. So for us as a corporate, it's a priority that comes first. Safety of our employees, our customers, and people we associate with. It's something that even before COVID-19 pandemic, it's something that is part of our life process, because we appreciate that the kind of risks that a business entity like us could face, given such risks, either related to biological, like now this pandemic, or physical, or any other kind of safety risk that will affect our business continuity. So it's something that we will sustain.
Paul Awar, Environment and Health and Safety Engineer with Isuzu East Africa. Thank you very much for talking to us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving the time.
Asante sana.
Please stay safe.
You too, stay safe.
Bye.
Good to hear that corporate organizations are doing this. They're already taking measures, looking at how they can work with their stakeholders. This guy is Isuzu East Africa, being one of the major suppliers of PSV vehicles across the country. When they take a lead on something like this, it's an important thing.
I think so.